Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in for everybody that's come in on a Sunday afternoon during one of their longest weekends of the year and at 12 noon. And no promises to be made. We are going to try our best to to talk to you, to share, to express everything that we would like to about the survey that Wiki is soon to launch. Welcome aboard for the second edition of iLead survey by Wiki. This is after a lot of hard work with all the team members coming together and putting. And one of the aspects today is to get some strong voices on a panel today. Uh, as we bring them in, please don't forget to share your questions across all the social media pages. And our teams, our tech support, everybody is going to ensure that we keep those questions and the poll rolling in. So, time to begin. Let me invite our first panelist, Pooja Chaudhri, Executive Director, Concept PR. Good afternoon, PC. We set the ball
Hi.
rolling by calling you PC today.
Thank you, my namesake. So nice to be here. And I'm glad we're
Thank,
doing this PC and Puja bit.
yes, thank you so much for joining in and taking the time out. Let me introduce you to the second guest, Akshaya. Akshaya is the Associate Professor Marketing from IMA. Good afternoon, Akshaya. Thank you for joining in.
Good afternoon, Pooja. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Amazing. And our next panelist, Neha Singhvi, Director Public Affairs, Games 24/7, and our strongest rep from Wiki as well. Hi, Neha. Thank you for joining in.
Hi, Pooja. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Looking forward to our conversation.
Great. Just for the audiences to know that we spend good enough time discussing and setting our rules backstage. So I'm not going to be revealing those secrets for any one of you who've tuned in. To get started, once again, setting the context, all of us are here today to discuss the pre-reveal of the second edition of Wiki survey that's called iLead survey. The ladies that you see here on the screen have all of them, and the ladies behind the screen have all of them have contributed to this survey coming into shape and will be launched very soon. Let me get rolling with the questions. Um, Neha, I want you to start telling us why the second edition of the iLead survey by Wiki.
So, the very first survey, let me just go back a little bit more than the second edition or the first edition. The reason why this segment of Wiki was particularly established is we realized that there are a lot of gaps when it comes to women being in leadership roles in the communication industry. There are a lot of challenges which still exists and that needs to be addressed. In our very first leg, what we did is we reached out to women to ask them, what are the gaps? What are the problems? Why do you think it's so difficult for women to get back to work? And then we said, okay, we found all of these problems, and we have sort of also engaged with organizations, with larger women groups to see how we can address it. But the second leg, which is this survey, was more to do to understand, are organizations ready for us? While so many women have highlighted the issues, we know what the solutions are, but are organizations making an effort, and a genuine effort at that, to ensure that we bring back more women in leadership roles? And that's where the whole conversation started. And as we go along, some of the statistics that you will hear very soon from us in the next coming weeks, but a couple of points I would like to mention that came out. And one of the stark realities, if I could say, that came out is that women and men look at the whole thing very differently. While women constantly feel that there is inequality, there is inequity at the workplace, but for men, that doesn't seem like there's a problem. which is a much bigger challenge. If we are talking about making a change, we all have to be on the same field to move ahead. Here you have a very, you two genders are looking at this problem very differently. So for one part of it, it's not a problem at all. And I think that's something we need to address, because we need men to be in this together. We need them to be committed as well to bring this change. It can't just be women fighting for women all by themselves. And that's where that shift needs to happen. I guess we've lost Pooja for a little bit, but yeah, I think this and a lot more instances that have come through, what you will see as we talk about, is pretty interesting to look at. Akshay, would you like to talk about it? Because I remember that when we
Right,
were talking during the survey, you had some very very good points to make on this
right.
gaps that
Absolutely.
exists.
No, so I mean, we all very well know that the labor force participation, women labor force participation in India is really not up to the standards it should be, and I'm glad that this survey was trying to probe to understand what's really going on. Why is it that, what can we do to make the industry ready for women, so that women don't fall off the labor force and continue working. Even though we have looked at one specific industry, I think it's a great in-depth insight that we get through the survey. And for me, there are three things that's really stand out. One of the things is what Neha mentioned, that the experiences of men and women seem to be entirely different, and men seem to be suggesting that, okay, there seem to be pay parity, there is enough leadership, and but women don't seem to feel the same. And this is I'm not surprised, but I'm disturbed, definitely. And so I think there has to be conversation between both genders about their experiences, because this is a bridge that can be gap. This is a gap that can be bridged. Sorry, it's a gap that can be bridged. About the other two things, I'll bring it up as we go through the conversation. Yeah.
So thanks, Akshaya and Neha, because I mean, I love the way you'll have hit the hammer right at the beginning, hit the nail right at the beginning. It's interesting how both the genders look at the existing problem so differently. So PC, I want you to add. I mean, share your thoughts, because every time I mean, I read the Deloitte Women at Work report recently that was out, and starkingly surprising numbers. I mean, only 3% of the women actually reach the leadership positions in a lot of organizations. And I mean, if I put us, all four of us together, I mean, it's 8 decades of experience right here. But I'm sure we can write books about the journey that we had to take. So, PC, what do you think really, reduces this number as all of us keep moving up ahead?
I mean, if you ask me, frankly, of course, the survey results are there and statistics show otherwise, but I have always been of the opinion that there is really no difference for men and women in a workplace. The challenges are both for same. It is not gender driven, because today more than ever it is growth and merit that calls a position. There are women in the in workforce. I mean, in comms in particular, it has always been predominantly women oriented. We have for several years, decades now, we've had women as heads of agencies. They've gone on to, which means they've started off as entrepreneurs, they've grown into national agencies, they've gone on to take leadership positions at Asia Pac levels when there have been mergers and acquisitions. So they are sitting on seats of power, not just at the India level, but even at the international level. They are jury members. So what are we talking about? I mean, I think comms has always been considered a women's forte and a women's field. Um, I mean, if I was to talk about concept PR itself, we have I think our workforce is 55% women to men. And even at the leadership level, we are a 50-50 percentage women to men ratio at the leadership level, which means there are, typically, like all agencies are, there are industry or practice heads, lead heads for different industry sectors, if whether it's tech or BFSI. I mean, our BFSI lead is a woman. So I have always been of the opinion that it's the fittest man for the job, and gender is never a question for me.
That's well said. On that note, I mean, I'm going to open this up to all three of you. Lot of times, I don't know, it's reluctance of the women leader at that position. Am I not? Is tech not my domain? Is finance not my domain? Like how rightly you pointed out, PC, that BFSI is a women leader. Ideally, we should not be really going out and doing any of this. Why are women leaders associated so well with other industries such as entertainment, lifestyle, fashion? But when it comes to serious discussions, I mean, they are also serious industries. But when it comes to tech, finance, I've seen does the reluctance begin with all of us right there? Can we do better? And the reason I'm asking this is the season of appraisals. Are we equipped enough to not only have those discussions with our juniors? Are we equipped enough to have those discussions with our seniors and say that industries do not matter, category does not matter. What I bring to the table and the change that I'm showing to you is what is important. How would three of you start this change of discussion, this change thought? Please, any one of you could start.
I can begin. There are two parts to the question that you just posed, right? One is talking about, and I'll address the first one and then move on to the second one later. Right? The first one saying that how women are not so comfortable with tech or finance or sectors which have been more predominantly been more sectors associated with men. And I don't think it's, this is a much deep rooted problem than, one can really talk about right now. The problem really stems from the fact, as from the beginning, very beginning of when we start our lives, as women. How many times have you not given a doll to a baby girl and a toy car to a boy, right? I don't think even we have somehow succumbed to these biases, because, and it's not even knowingly that we've done it. A lot of times unknowingly, right? How many times has it been more the makeup kits coming to a 7-year-old than the Lego sets that should have come? And that's the truth. So it's not to do with how, whether we feel we can do it or not. It's just so ingrained, right? We feel that women are just good with when it comes to aesthetics, when it comes to fashion. But thankfully, the way things have evolved over the years, now you see a lot more women in taking STEM. You see a lot more women in the tech sectors leading, leading different functions, leading companies as well. And so is what you see. And you know what PC pointed out, that a BFSI sector is headed by women. And I'm not surprised, because, we're heading that way. You see a lot more people with finance, with maths as their backgrounds, really moving ahead in this, different work streams. The second part of what you said, remuneration, Pooja, I think remuneration, the appraisal cycle, I feel remuneration should be a result of fair assessment of your performance. How did you do against your goals or the objectives and the accepted KRAs as was outlined at the beginning of the year? That's it. There is there is no gender, there is no sector, nothing. It's about whether you've met your goals or you haven't met your goals. And if anybody feels that it's not being done correctly, please speak up. If you
Yeah.
feel that you're not being fairly assessed, please don't accept it. I feel at the end of the day, you should know that it's your career. You worked very hard and you have to get it recognized. And that's it. There is just no other way of looking at remuneration. This is how it should be.
I like that, and I hope everyone listening in really follows that. Akshaya, over to you.
Very good question, and this is one of the things which comes up in the survey also. So I'll bring up what we find in the survey and also my general observations. So two things. One is we have so many banks headed by women in India, especially. It's well established, and there is one reason for that. I'll come to it in a bit. Most of the tech companies, if you see, lot of women join tech companies. So you have many women doing engineering in India, which is unlike the Western countries. The STEM has never been a deterrent per se. And people know engineering. A lot of women do engineering because there are good jobs out there. That's the reality of the situation. And I mean, we are still a developing country, and there is good income out there. So a lot of women are there in tech industry. What happens is, as they move up the ladder, you see women falling off. So women are not rising up, and that is a concern. That's a big concern, right? So you have a lot of women entering the workforce at all kinds of jobs. So you have like if even at the factory level now there are like, so Apple recently we whole Tim Cook came. There's a lot of discussion, and their factory, Apple's factory is going to have more than 50% women on the factory floor. Great. A lot of women entering the workforce and then not going up. So there are a couple of reasons. One thing we know is there's the marriage penalty, there's the child penalty, which happens. And then when women come back, they are not given equally challenging tasks because they feel that women have to. I mean, it's sort of like you don't task them, but you think that, okay, they have to manage their family. So let's give it easy, make it easy for them. Women don't feel challenged, so they then end up quitting the job because it's not really driving them to work maybe. So there's that thing happening. Then there's the other thing which also came up in the survey is this, and this is part of a socialization, I think. Maybe when we talk about women, why do we need diversity in an organization, we end up saying when we have women, EQ increases. I mean, I think everybody should have EQ. It's great. I'm very happy that women bring empathy to the workforce, but I think we need to think beyond women bringing empathy to the workforce. Women bring skills to the workforce. Women bring representation of 50% of the, especially in communication and PR, we have 50% of our consumers are women. So unless you have women in the organization, your 50% consumers view is not represented. So women bring more than empathy to an organization, and I'm just tired of this idea that it's important, the soft skills that we bring, but we bring a lot more to the table. And it's time we say that, hey, I'm empathetic, true, I'm maybe more empathetic than my neighbor, but I'm also as skilled as my neighbor. I also have things to say which represent half the population. So listen to me. So, and this, I saw this in the survey also. Women, why do we need women? Because women, EQ increases. Oh, like great. I want something more. And I think we need to fight for that. And we need to say that, yeah, this is great, but I'm also skilled. So look at me that way. Yeah.
Before I open the floor up to you, PC, I'd just like to add, Akshaya, that I love how brilliantly and very politely you brought this up in the topic, saying that, women can't just be bringing EQ. And if they're getting affirmative about the deliverables and work at task, do not call them aggressive and the opposite side of EQ. That's exactly what really women, again, have to struggle. I mean, it's as a gender, there at no point of time a leader should be battling thoughts of not being affirmative, having enough EQ. It's what kind of team spirit that you build and how determined you are for that business goal of the organization.
I
Could all of
almost
us at least agree on that piece and get the whole workforce to move in that direction? I'm not even saying men or women.
I almost thought I should apologize for being so affirmative. Then I was like, no, I need
No,
it. I need it.
no. On that note, PC, I'd like you to add on, what do you
I
feel of the
think
whole scenario?
I've always thought a little differently, and I feel that one needs to break these normative stereotypes. Pink is for girls, blue is for boys. Women bring EQ for the EQ into an organization. Whatever. I think we bring skill sets, we bring talent, We bring a different way of looking at things. You can't only have testosterone in a room. Everyone would be gunning for each other's throats. I think what I attempt to do, and I'm in a position of leadership today where I'm mentoring young kids. Um, I always try to empower them. I try to embolden their thoughts. I try to increase their view and mind space and lens. I'll give you a little example here. Just last week, one of our office boys, I didn't know, but his wife was pregnant and they were expecting a baby. Sweet, simple Maharashtrian boy has been with the company for many years now. And I got an early morning call. I'm an early riser, so it doesn't alarm me. But I got an early morning call, and I'm seeing XYZ office boy calling. For a second, I was like, oh my God, what happened in the office? Was there a break in? Was there a fire? Was there a leak? As is the case sometimes. And he was on the other end of the phone, and he said, Madam ji, ladki hui hai. I was so excited. I was so happy. I think he was crying on the phone. I was crying on the phone. And when I came to office that day, and I met him the next day, of course, he didn't come in that day. I asked him, I said, are you happy? Young boy, 27, 28 years old. I said, are you happy? He's saying, I'm so happy. I said, your wife, your families, your parents, her parents. He said, we're all very happy it's a girl. I said, that's the spirit. Because she is no lesser than a boy. In fact, as you grow older and you see later on in life, she'll be more able, more willing, more capable. Just give her the wings to fly. What I do with the rest of the women in our company, try to get them to believe in themselves, get them to push the envelope, to upskill, to constantly beat their demons, because you need to come out of your comfort zone. Some of those cliches, growth lies outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
You've taught them language skills, you've taught them computer skills. Today we are teaching someone in getting used to everyday day-to-day apps, whether it's a Zomato or an Uber or a Dunzo or whatever. So if she needs to do it, she can do it, and she can be a support function for the admin team. So I think my approach has always been to embolden, to empower, because I have never thought myself lesser than a boy. And on gender sensitization, when we talk about women with EQ, I actually always feel bad for the boys folk or for the men folk. Imagine the pressure young boys are growing up with, to constantly be carrying this weight on their shoulders, that they have to carry the be the heir to the business empire, or they have to be in a certain tough manly way. I mean, he shows slight EQ and we call him the metrosexual man, or we call him effeminate. Can you think about it from the flip side? I have always felt this. I mean, I feel bad for you boys. You guys, I mean, perhaps you are able to flourish and function and perform and grow, because what do we have to lose? Nothing. Sky's the limit, literally. It's a clean slate, clean canvas, draw the colors you want and go for it. For boys, it's such a stereotypical society. I actually empathize with the boys growing up. I'm sorry that you have to conform in a certain way.
My takeaway from all three of you is obviously empower, embolden, and possibly encourage. I'm happy to take the empathy word out of it, but that's something that we all need to drive together. Typically, in an ideal situation, I would have kept all the audience questions towards the end. But I have a brilliant question that's come up from Cheryl. She's saying that if there's a leader, if there's a women leader specifically, or anyone trying to grow up to that leadership position, what is that one trait or mindset that you believe young women joining the industry must have? PC, can we start with you first?
Um, to never doubt herself, never believe that there's something that you can't do. Give yourself the chance if you want someone else to give you a chance. I always believe in self. Yeah, that's what I'd like to tell young girls, starting off with careers. Give yourself the chance first.
Akshaya?
Don't be apologetic. Don't be apologetic about your work that you're putting in hours. Don't be apologetic that you have a household to manage. It's fine. It's difficult, but don't be apologetic about being ambitious. Yeah, and surround yourself with great friends. I think you need that network any point of time in your career. Without that network, you can't grow. So build that network from day one. People whom you can trust. Not it's you don't need them just to grow, but you need them for whatever it is.
That's a nice one. Neha, over to you.
Agree with points made by both PC and Akshaya. And just to add two bits to it, I think don't undermine yourself. Don't think twice to ask for what you deserve and what is right. You are your best advocate, I would say. And also, don't just try to fit in. Sometimes you just try to fit in. You don't have to. You can challenge the status quo. And if you see, it's not just for you to talk about yourself, but if you see that somebody else is not being treated fairly, speak up for them too. While it's great to build your own network, but you will feel so much better when you're there to support someone else as well.
I like that really because it's a, how do I say? It's if today I'm standing and talking to all of you today, it's because of a lot of women. I have to give credit to that. Those women ensured that they were the strongest network of my life. The professional network actually has been an equal combination of men and women, but the professionals who stood by me through thick and thin, who understood that, as you said, Neha, stand up for anything that's unfair or speak up, build your network, and never doubt yourself. So, all of these pieces that the three of you have brought up, I am a standing example of having that professional environment and industry backup. I mean, I couldn't have been fortunate enough without all of this. So, but this is what brings me to an important point. All of us love our network, our professional engagements, our colleagues. We kind of make best friends out of them as well. And but what stops us as leaders or as women employees or as colleagues to not talk about our workplaces as the best workplace to be? I don't know how many of us would have left one of the organizations and got another friend or colleague to join them. We typically, it's that's the saying, you don't leave a company, you leave your boss, you leave the toxic environment. So how do we figure out what suits us best and how do we
I think Pooja's network playing up again. But
Yeah, you can start.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I would like to believe that the responsibility to be our organization's ambassador lies with each one of us. I've been with this company today for 15 years, and I think it's the best place to work. It is my daily vitamin pill. Given the option to work from home, I'll always run to office. I love the energy. I love the environment. I love being with people around me. There's constantly so much learning, interaction. Yeah, I mean, and that's what I try to instill in all my colleagues. Feel proud of the work that you do. Feel proud of the company that you represent. Ultimately, you need to do yourself proud. You're not working for anybody else. You really need to feel that pride within yourself. Akshay, what do you have to say? I mean, you're dealing with so many students, I would think. So, what do you
Yeah.
see?
Yeah, I mean, organization wise, I don't think I have to say, I really have to advocate for my organization. Everybody knows this is probably the best place, best academic institution in India to work. And I completely agree with that. But I definitely wish we had more diversity in students, in faculty, so diversity across the board, as it just improves the kind of discussions you have, the depth and the variance and just the richness of discussions and experiences grow with it. So I am all for, I mean, my big interest in doing this survey, being part of this survey, and engaging in gender projects is hopefully that my tribe increases and I have more fun. So I have a very, very biased reason why I'm doing this. I want to have more fun. I want a bigger sisterhood for that. So let me see what I can do to get more women in academic organization, or in work or in my classes. Yeah.
Superb. That's lovely.
Great. And hope that happens very soon, Akshaya. It's important to have fun at workplaces. I've always believed that because we spend so much time with our work, especially in the communications industry when there are no set working hours, right? So it's anytime, anywhere, any day. And you need to have a good team, and you need to be working with teams that you can work with day and night, and feel proud of being a part of it. I think I have been very fortunate, over the years. I wouldn't say like PC have been with just one organization, but I've had longer stints with wherever I was. And the reason I could do that is, I was growing well. I think every time I've made a move, it's been for my growth in my career. I've had extremely rewarding relationships or stints in the organizations that I've worked with. And that's also because I've never shied away from asking for what is right or highlighting what I felt was not right. It could also be the way I've been brought up, say it out, being a young one in the family, always asked for what I wanted and got it. So it's just sort of instilled, this push in me, this drive in me. I wouldn't say it just for myself, but for others as well. If I would say that, no, this is not right, I would make it a point to share it. And I've been very fortunate to work with leaders who've been very open to taking feedback. I think that's just very, very critical, because it's not just all the policies in this world don't help. It's not the policies, it's actually how much is it really followed in letter and in spirit. How inclusive can you make the workplace for others, and for everyone. That's important, because what's happened in the last few years, every organization has a policy. Everybody has made it as part of a core mandate for the organization to ensure equality, rise of women in leadership teams. But then what? Like, what are you really doing? Just having a policy and asking a, woman to come back from maternity leave and say, okay, you are in. But if you don't give her the work that challenges her, like Akshaya mentioned, or if you don't, or you don't look at them as if they're whining when they bring personal commitments to the workplace, right? It's just the way you look at them, how you make them feel. Those are things that are important as well. It's not policies alone that will make a change. And that's why there is a need to just, keep talking about this a little bit more often, and sharing our issues, our views, even at the workplace where we are, and not just restricting to this conversation or a chat on a Sunday or a coffee later. I think we need to do this every day, and every day in the workplace. Only then will you see a change, a real change happening in the years to come.
I think we need to do it more so on weekdays than on a Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
I like that. No, it's pretty impressive, ladies. Change begins with us. Be it any human being, any individual, all of us know that at some point of time. I possibly realized that strongly after becoming a pet lover. The change begins with you. What are you extending to that soul that can't talk to you is what really defines you as another human being or individual to the other people who are constantly speaking. So on that piece, I'd like to bring everyone's attention, the audiences that have rolled in, all of us. I want to first the reason I'm bringing in the partners and the support system that enabled us, because this stage is has come together with a lot of hard work. All the women part of the Wiki group who put together the iLead survey, Koto, our brand synergy partner, our research partner, Imagine Reality. You need to actually go and see them, because that's what made our survey stand out this year. Industry partner PRCAI, again, our knowledge partner IIM Ahmedabad. Akshaya, thank you for that. And our and another industry partner of ours, that's the Advertising Agencies Association of India. The reason we need to be grateful and thankful to this ecosystem or environment is because someone's understanding the change that we need to bring and supporting the ecosystem with that push. You can't really do that alone. Is it a possibility that a lot of people, this is an open ended question for you, ladies, a lot of organizations do not understand or look at diversity and inclusion as this is yet another woman group coming out and shouting out for their rights? Can we start that foundation earlier, better? How do we do it? Because Neha, you said that as part of your family, you were able to get that foundation to speak up and stand up and ask for things right in the beginning, and you possibly push those boundaries professionally. So, how do we explain this to professionals that even though you are looking at the iLead survey that by Wiki, which is talking about gender equality, uh, what are the kind of basics that we can ask professionals to begin with right in the beginning? I mean, right at the start of their career, so that you don't need a policy later to ingrain it into their head. PC, would you like to take that first?
I mean, I really think sensitization towards equal needs. I think just the fact that there is a bias is starting from a position of weakness. So I've always been one for an agrarian society workplace, and that's what I try to imbibe with the people, especially the young kids working within our organization as well. And yeah, I think be the change that you want to see. I try to lead from the front line always, and try to lead by example.
Neha, we'd like to hear from you.
I think what you're talking about is really a mindset change. And that's what we're looking at. It's not the policies, it's not, um, the HR team's agenda to drive. It's a mindset change that we're looking at for anyone and everyone who's in the professional uh, space. And, it really will come from the fact of understanding that genders are different, yes, um, and they both behave and act differently, may have different needs, but when you are the professional space, you're all working towards the same objective, and so the need to be treated equally, um, in all spheres, in all aspects of your professional journey. But it is a mindset change, and I think it's going to take a bit more than just sort of uh, trying to do it now. It's going to take longer because it doesn't happen overnight. It has to be done more consciously and more aggressively. From the HRs will need to play a role, the leaders will need to play a role, the society has to play a role in this. It's also a lot more outside in your personal lives as well as it's in your professional lives that make this happen. So
That's interesting. Akshay, what do you think?
Yeah, I think everybody has said the responsibility lies in the beginning and changing the mindset, and this is where an institution becomes important. So I mean, I see this as a huge responsibility for me, because I get young minds, and it gives me an opportunity to actually at least get their thinking, spark their thinking in a certain direction. The word mindset is very, very critical, because there's been research out there which shows that actually the difference between genders is not so much, but the within a gender you see a lot of difference in mindset. So uh, when there is when you change that mindset towards equality, towards equity, in people, I think you make a whole lot of difference. And I feel the place to start, of course, would be schools. Now, I can't do anything about schools, but an institution like IMA can make a whole lot of difference. And we do various things. So, one of the things we do is, like in my course, we critically look at advertisements and see how women are portrayed and what are the roles that they play. And a survey like this with an industry partner, we are able, I'll be able to take this back to class and share it with my students and say, hey, this is what people are thinking when they join organization, and you are going to be joining as leaders. What can you do to change this, right? And I feel like industry and academia can come together and maybe provide scholarships, maybe come together and say that let's work towards grooming people in a certain way. We work together and do it, and institutions will have to take a lot of responsibility, but I feel that working with industry, you can help us at least set the direction. Okay, this is where we should be headed. But I see institutions at all levels, right from school to MBA, where I am, play a significant role in changing this mindset. And we need a change in mindset. That's what is critical to achieve all the objectives that we have set.
I like how nicely, Akshay, you've emphasized on the changing of mindset. That's where I look at the partner PRPOI with us. Because if we look at the mindset of
I think whilst we've lost Pooja, definitely a word in for PRPOI. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of several of their sessions, and I think there is nothing, no stone that they leave unturned in addressing such bold issues, right up front and center. And time and again, they have brought up the issues of women in comms, what can be done, what are the challenges women face in comms, how can we bring in more women onto leadership roles. And yeah, I think specific to our industry, definitely kudos to the work that PRPOI does. And I think to WICCI as well, I think we need collective minds to come together to mainstream conversations and topics like this.
Great. PC, there is a question, from the audience and just putting it out there before Pooja joins in. Is there parity at the workplace, both in pay and more importantly, promotions and growth? Do we have subconscious biases? That's a question from the audience. Would you like to take it, PC?
Uh, yeah, I mean, sure, definitely. I can only speak for our organization. And we definitely see an individual for the talent, the capability, and the individual mindset that they bring to the table. I think gender is never in consideration, whether it's at the time of hiring or promoting or giving any opportunity, whether it's attending a plum event or going for a trip or going for an international trip for the client or anything like that. It's never about girl versus boy. I think it's the fittest man for the job, fittest person for the job. Let's start using gender neutral terms, I feel. And yeah, so I definitely not in our company. Is there an issue like that?
Great to hear that. Though I feel, and Akshay, I would love you to also share your views, but I feel the subconscious bias does exist, right? Like, and it's not to say that whether you're fit or you're not fit, but how many times would you want to give the most important assignment or the most important project in your organization to a woman who is, in the third trimester? Would you do that? And then, because then you're thinking of continuation of work, whether she's going to come back, not come back, right? There are a lot of questions, and I think sometimes we think about it ourselves without asking the person who's in that shoes. So and it's not like it's done with a bad intent. I think the intent is always to ensure that you have great, you do your bit well. But subconscious biases, yes. How many times have we looked at women who are getting married, or women who have to nurse for old parents, and they are being like, whenever their personal commitments come in the life cycle and the professional journey of a woman, whether we ask them or we don't ask them, I think there is always a subconscious bias which still exists. Yes, the fact is that we are doing away with it consciously because we're making an effort, but to say that it does not exist, I'm not too sure on that. Akshay, what are your views?
Yeah. Definitely, research shows that there is no not enough pay parity. Women get paid lesser than men, and this happens over a period of time. So what happens is maybe women and men join the workforce at the same level, get the same payment, but over a period of time there is information asymmetry, which means that women are unaware of opportunities. They don't take up these opportunities, which cost them, which add up later. So it's not like if they were aware, they would have probably taken it. So there is a lot of information asymmetry, which is why that group of network becomes very critical just to pass that information. The second thing is, I think we also need to look at uh, this whole, I mean, the critical juncture where this whole shift happens is when a woman has a child. Uh, to some extent, even marriage, because they tend to move cities. But child is a huge penalizes women more than men, and so we need to look at industries where women have grown without such barriers. And banking is one great example for that. I can say even in academia, you s- fewer women join, but women continue to stay in the workforce. Very few women quit academia. So is there something in those industries, and the pays on par at different levels? So what's happening in those industries, can we pick up something from there which will help, and then generalize? So one of the things is the idea that flexible hours seems to make a whole lot of difference to women, especially coming back after maternity break. I'm still nursing my child, but I work. I have flexible hours. I set my own goals, so then I don't have to worry about, like, am I getting enough? Somebody setting the goals for me and deciding for me. Okay, oh, she's in a third trimester, or she's nursing a baby. Will she be able to do it? But letting women decide. So said, in fact, sometimes I feel I'm probably working more than I did before I had my child, and I wish I worked less. But women should have that luxury to decide. So maybe giving women the opportunity, not just women, I'm sure even men will prefer if they were setting their own goals, giving them more freedom, and trusting them that maybe I maybe if I set lower goals for this year, but I show the promise that in the future I'll catch up. Not just, I think this quarterly assessment, yearly assessment of everything, right from our stocks to our professional growth, is what is having a huge negative impact. If we believe our employees are in this company for the long run, they will demonstrate that. And many companies, I mean, there are very few companies which give women a chance when they return from the maternity break. But the companies which give women a good chance to when they return from the maternity break see highest levels of loyalty from the women. These women will go out of their way to work for the organizations, because they know at some point this company said, hey, it's okay, you will take 2 years, you'll take 3 years, but I know in the long run you are going to uh, deliver for this company. And women do. I mean, that's probably give a increase the assessment period, have longer assessment periods, maybe that will help a little bit. And I guess some flexible hours definitely will make a whole lot of difference. But also, I think giving a chance for women to set, like, okay, please, I will achieve these goals in 5 years. These goals I maybe doesn't seem like too much for you, or maybe may seem basic for you, but uh, give me some more time frame and I'll make a difference. I maybe that will, I don't know how that will work in the industry. I'm giving a very theoretical perspective, but so it's for you, Neha and Pooja, to say if it makes sense. Yeah.
I think when it comes to flexible hours, we have the pandemic to thank because it's taught us different ways of living, working, and being. Today, we have concepts like work from home, or work from anywhere, or work remote, which are par for the course and uh, is so mainstream today. I think till 3 years ago, if anyone even suggested something like this, it would have been blasphemy. Today, we're talking about a 4-day week because we are realizing that productivity is higher. We're talking about mainstreaming topics like work life balance. So I think we're getting there, guys. Give ourselves a chance. We're getting there.
Totally. On that note, the very last question that's come, on the chat from the audience, which says, um, it's important for women to empower women a lot more and treat each other with respect and equality than just expecting the opposite gender to lead the way. Any experiences, thoughts on this? Akshaya?
I have come this far on the standing on the shoulders of many women, and by many women, I say including my nanny, my cook. If my nanny were not there, I will not be sitting here and having this conversation. And also my colleagues and my friends across this thing. So I totally believe in supporting women, and I feel I have to give pay it back. I strongly feel that because I have been supported. So definitely women for women.
Lovely. PC and
Yeah, definitely women for women. I mean, I think by nature, I'll always support the underdog. Again, gender agnostic. If in any case I feel that it's a woman colleague who needs more help, I'm all out there, front and center. To give you an example, I talked earlier on in sort of empowering and helping upskill some of our admin women employees, whether it was in, learning to speak English fluently and confidently, becoming more tech able, being comfortable with computers. Today we're talking about getting them more digitally adept and becoming fluent with applications on the mobile phone. There is another woman colleague that I think I've so pleased to see how she has blossomed from being a support function. Today, she is a homeowner. I sort of handheld her the entire journey of identifying a home, going through the whole home loan, bank loan application
wow.
process, in just helping her believe in herself. And today, between she and her daughter, they are homeowners, and it fills my heart with pride to know that for someone who was ready to give up on life, was so down and out there, couldn't stop herself from crying. Today, she's a homeowner. She's living in her own home, and it's her nameplate out there. My God, I think I celebrate her every day.
Wow, Pooja, that definitely is the story to be celebrated. I think hats off to her and to you for supporting her through and
Thank
through.
you. So yeah,
Um,
I'm all for being out there. I think, but for me, it's always about supporting the underdog. Again,
I
being
said this. I said this earlier as well. I think supporting, speaking not just for yourself but for others also helps. I think what just wanting to add another bit. If we could have a if organizations could actually create mentors within the organizations who champion or who can um, endorse, be the advocate for women, and sort of take a few women under their wing and ensure that what they offer to them is bespoke guidance, personalized views and help in moving ahead. That could help a lot, right? Like, of course there's women for women, but if deliberately organizations could start a mentoring program where you have a champion within the organization who's supporting women or a group of women, work with them together, I think that could do wonders. Because for every sector it's different, for every organization the needs are different, and the more you can create personalized solutions, the more effective it's going to be. And just the very last thing before I let Tarun take over is that if you're not getting the help, I think you should ask for it. Just ask for it. You're not alone. You don't have to do it by yourself. And that's my biggest learning over the years. I tried to do it all by myself. I almost felt like, this is it, and I'm never being able to do anything well. And just when I sought help, my world changed. I think just seeking help can do so much more.
I totally agree there. If you don't ask, you'll never know, you'll never get. And the bravest thing one can do is ask for help, really.
Absolutely. Akshay?
I entirely agree with everything. That's it. I think mentorship, especially, I agree with Neha. I have had women who have championed my cause, who have just gone out there and said, "Hey, this faculty, new faculty in marketing, she's amazing." That's all they've said, and it boosted my confidence that okay, now I can continue to take over the conversation from there. I think, and I've had amazing mentors, and I definitely see the value of mentors. Like Neha said, it makes if we can deliberately do it and have a program for that, and this can be across industries, just women leaders paying back by supporting few younger women.
Absolutely. So, while all of you spoke about an organization level or a senior level requirement, initiative that one can take up to support other women, If we could end this conversation by each one of you sharing one thing that every woman out there can do, irrespective of the designation or the hierarchical ladder that they are at, that they can do for other women in their organizations to support them. One thing that they can do, irrespective of the designation. Pooja, we'll start with you.
Um, I mean, I think I said this earlier on in the chat. I think just help everyone believe in themselves. Like I said, we don't give ourselves a chance sometimes. So, um, yeah, just be there for each other.
Awesome. Neha?
We've discussed this, but just, adding another bit is listen. I think sometimes just listening to someone, and, without judging them for what their issues are or what their problems are, that could work wonders. And that's not just for women. I think that works for anybody and everybody at the workplace. You may not be at the leadership level to bring about a change. You may not want to take up their cause. But sometimes when you just listen, and you can give that comfort that you're listening without judging that person, I think even that helps.
Very true. Couldn't agree more. Akshaya?
Make the woman feel belong, especially someone who is newly joined the organization or has been or the industry. Make them feel that yeah, they are supposed to be where they are. They are at the right place because there's a lot of insecurity. So just let them know that they are doing their best, and I think then they will blossom. Just giving them that, letting them know you're here doing the right thing.
Absolutely. The first person to go say hello always wins. Thank you so much for joining us for this panel on Sunday. Really appreciate you taking out your time and sharing your valuable insights with us. I think this was a wonderful discussion, and there are so many takeaways that all of us can take back from this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies. It was fabulous indeed, and thank you to Pooja. We lost her somewhere midway, but she was fabulous too.
I know.
Yes.
Great
Thank you.
discussion. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
More power to you, all of you. Bye bye.
So that was a discussion on on the challenges that hold that are going to be present, and possible solutions that we can look at in 2023 for women in comms. If you have more questions, then put them in the comment section, and we will try and answer them as quickly as possible, and continue the discussion. Thank you so much for joining us. From all of us at PRPOI, have a great Sunday. Have a great weekend.